Since 1973.
But, you know,
It's.
All right, good morning, everyone. Wow, that's loud. You got me there? 1, 2, 3, 4. It being January 11th, 9 a.m. Let's bring the Kane County Human Services Committee to start our meeting. If we could call roll, please.
Allen,
Allen present. Good morning.
Morning.
Kenyon,
here,
Lewis,
Who's here?
Silva, Tarver,
Tarver here.
Linder,
Linder here.
Surges,
Surges here.
Tedby.
Vern, are you on?
how can we start without Vern?
Well, I see him,
Deputy here.
He doesn't know how.
but he's muted.
Deputy here.
Good morning, sir. All right, we have quorum. Approval of minutes for November 9th, 2022 and December 14th, 2022.
Linder moves approval.
And then we'll second it.
Any discussion on those? Please call.
Allen, Allen,
Allen,
Kenyon,
Yes.
Lewis,
Louis, yes.
Tarver,
Tarver abstain.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Surges.
Surges, yes. Do we have anybody
Here.
public comment online? I don't believe so, and I don't believe we have anybody in the audience. Monthly financial reports are on file. Did anybody have any question or comments on those? Okay, Jamie, Human Resources, if we can bring you up to the podium and let's go ahead and start.
Good morning. I just wanted to first introduce to you, we have Dora DeLima. She is our representative from the vendor CCMSI. They handle all of our third-party claims administration. So she's going to go ahead and present this month's reports and also give you guys a general overview about the work that CCMSI does for the county. This is in preparation for the fact that by purchasing ordinance, we do have to RFP their services this year. So we will be doing that in this calendar year prior to the expiration of our contract in November. So I'd just like to welcome Dora.
Dora, before you start, if I can just try and explain just briefly for the new members to the committee, we are a self-insured entity. But that doesn't mean we take all the risk on ourselves. We take on a certain threshold, if you will. So maybe we take on the first 500,000, the first million, and then reinsure after that. When we say we're self-insured, that means we handle the money. We use an outside service to actually handle the claims. Is that fundamentally okay with everybody? Mr. Linder, Mr. Tarver? I know that's a very rudimentary conversation, but explanation.
Yes, I understand that.
Okay, as long as you guys have a fundamental of that. It's our money. We handle the first $1 million, if you will, first chunk, but we use an outside vendor to administer all those claims that come through.
I have experience with this.
Okay, and then we ask those vendors from time to time via the committee to say, this is where we're seeing, some problems. This is where we're really performing well. And Dora has been wonderful, specifically on the workers' compensation, because trending wise, maybe 5-6 years ago, we weren't doing so well, and we had conversations, and this was one of those times where we felt that spending $1 to save $2 made sense. And Dora brought on an additional workers' comp claims administrator for us. We've really done a great job at reducing frequency and severity. I've said it 1,000 times, shining that flashlight into the darkness and trying to find something. So one of the problems that we have, and one of the uncomfortable things that I don't want to be uncomfortable, is that just as you build a relationship with a vendor, all of a sudden we have these rules that say we have to go to bid for the vendor. And that, I'm glad the rules are there because it keeps everybody on their toes, but it's very uncomfortable, if you will, when you have a vendor that's really gone outside of the box to try and make things happen. And then you have to go and bid out to make sure that, you know, we're getting the best deal for their constituents. In this particular case, there's two types of bids that we do. One is called an RFP, request for proposal. One is called an RFQ, request for qualifications. In this particular case, I believe Jamie, is going to be an RFP, request for proposal on what they can do for us. We put together this request, trying to make it apples to apples across the board and try and put that together. But I felt it important before we get, and Jamie, is that later this year? When does that RFP get put together? Spring? Oh, so it's early this year. November. Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, so while it is later in the year for the actual decision, it will be earlier this year when we put those RFPs together and go out there. I wanted to at least give the courtesy of asking Dora to come into us, explain where we've been, where we're at, where we should be going, and make sure that the new members of the committee get to meet Dora and have that relationship. Dora, am I being fair on this?
Yes.
Okay.
You are.
Okay, floor is yours.
All right. Thank you. And it was an excellent explanation. Good morning, all. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to present the monthly claim reports, as well as introduce myself to you, as well as CCMSI. We are the third-party administrator providing claim service of your claims.
Dora, one sec. Can everybody hear her online, or does she need more microphone?
She's fine.
But Dora, pull that like you're eating that mic. Yeah, there you go.
CCMSI has provided claim services since 2011, and we have worked together to tailor the program to the needs of the county. Some of the additional services provided to the county in the past included loss control assessments relative to the health department, animal control. We have also provided ergonomic assessments and OSHA training in the past to our HR department. Training has also been provided to the department heads relative to reporting claims timely, as well as providing them with training on our platform so that they are allowed to view their claims within their respective department in real time. The HR staff has been provided with training in the past as it relates to the claims platform so they can extract reports and also review the claims activity in real time. In 2008, we made some changes to the hierarchy structure for King County so that the system would be able to provide additional reports as it related to locations within various departments. And some of those reports that we present for the HSC meeting are some of those examples. I also wanted to mention for this meeting, and I shared a report with Jamie this morning in the past 5 years, and as it pertains to the workers' compensation program, we process approximately 5,000 medical bills relative to the open workers' compensation claims with an approximate total amount of $6.4 million. We put them through a repricing by way of the fee schedule in Illinois, and then we put them through another round of repricing to capture PPO discounts. And after taking those processing fees, which amounted to $149,000, we managed to realize a savings of $3.5 million for those bills. That's 55% savings. The amount that was paid to those providers for the $6.4 million was approximately $2.7 million. We also have been successful with the claims team in recovering monies paid out on behalf of the county towards their claims, and with collaborative efforts with defense and the state's attorney's office, we managed to recover approximately $650,000. And I have also shared that report with with Jamie, the HR department, so that she can share those reports with you. As it relates to the liability claims, you have a team of designated claim adjusters. And based on their expertise, they are assigned individual claims to work on the county's behalf. Along with that, there is a second set of eyes. There are supervisors assigned to those claims. Right now, currently, you have about 4 or 5 liability adjusters right now. And again, it's based on their coverage of expertise that they get assigned to your cases. With regard to workers' compensation claims, we now have 2 indemnity adjusters along with a no loss time adjuster to handle the workers' compensation claims. And there is also 2 supervisors on that team. From the supervisor's perspective, they strive to make sure that the adjusters are hitting all marks relative to the service of the client's needs, as well as adhering to the claim's best practices. When a claim comes in from the county, that claim goes to the supervisor to get assigned to the adjuster. Each adjuster will work closely with making initial contacts with all parties involved. And that could be a third party claimant. It could be an injured worker. It could be department heads. It could be other service partners involved, such as defense counsel or the state's attorney's office.
When you say workers' compensation and liability,
Yes.
general liability claims?
Well, it's a full spectrum. So when I say liability, it could be GL, it could be GL bodily injury, it could be first party property type of coverage. It could be collision coverage. It could be comprehensive coverage.
So for our new members to the committee, I mean,
Microphone, please.
that works much better when you hit the button. Thank you. For the new members of the committee, I just want to make sure that we're setting the stage on this. It's not just a fender bender that may be, a public works type vehicle bumped into somebody at a stoplight. This could be a shooting at the sheriff's office. This could be a ruckus at the juvenile detention center. This could be something that the board said that we got sued for. So these claims are not minutia. Some of these are multi-million-dollar claims. And the processes that we put in place, what's good for the goose is good for the gander sort of thing. This has to work from the lowest level to the highest level. And for those that sometimes questions when I say things in committee, or at the board level, sometimes I am just setting the stage to make sure that we as a board are in check with our actions, in as much as we are held accountable as a self-insured entity and body. We are accountable to our own actions sometimes. And I don't mean that to ever sound frivolous or why is Surges saying that? Sometimes it's just a reminder to give us a kick in the butt to say, remember, the sword that we're dying on is our own. And is that?
That is correct.
Okay.
That is correct. So throughout the life of the claim, the information is gathered on each open claim. Reserves are established based on the information gathered. Recommendations are made to the county along with collaborative decisions we will make throughout the life of each claim in order to bring that claim to resolution. Now, plans of actions are put in place by each of our claim adjusters for each of their open claims. However, it is critical that we get input by the county, so we work as an extension for the county, keeping in mind what is best for our client based on the facts with adhering to state statutes, the service instructions that have been put together by not only CCMSI, but by the county, and adhering to claims best practices. The monitoring system for each claim is set by diaries, and those are set by the adjuster as well as the supervisor. And it is all dependent on the merits of that claim. File review meetings are conducted with the HR department, the state's attorney's office, as well as department heads. And the purpose of the file review is to provide a current update on each open claim, and further dialogue could produce additional plans to move the claim forward. As for the workers' compensation side of our office and claims team, there are monthly calls with the claims team, the HR department, additional department heads may be called upon, as well as defense counsel to discuss those claims. For the liability claims, we have started quarterly meetings, and I believe the next one is next Tuesday. Our last one was in September now. So, any questions?
For those new board members as well, it is unfortunate that our committee meeting always falls the day after the board meeting, because you'll oftentimes hear us extolling how well we've done, but the day before we maybe had to go to an executive and make some decisions on something that's 2 years from now you will see coming through the system. And you kind of say, but Cliff, are you talking out of both sides of your mouth? Nope, this is the information that we have today. Yesterday's information will be about 18 months down the road. So I'd want to acknowledge that as well.
I have been on this program since 2011, and I have seen great improvement with regard to severity, claim counts. I believe that there is more safety awareness within the departments, which has helped tremendously on the overall paid out for the open claims. So I hope that we can continue to nurture and grow. And I hope that you will allow us another opportunity to provide services for the next 12 years.
Dora, thank you so very much.
Thank you.
To put again, just a little perspective on things, and Jamie, I might need you for this, but our health insurance bill is approximately $16 million a year. Our workers' comp general liability packages are upwards of $26 million a year. Is that where did Rich bring those final numbers in? They're big numbers is my point. They are big, big numbers. So I know this seems like this is not the big sexy committee, but when you realize that you're sitting and steering something that's, you know, in the $30-40 million range,
Not a sexy
big budget
committee?
items, they truly are. And managing them seems frivolous and you know, monotonous. They are not. And that's why we really, truly thankful for the partnerships that we have, Dora. So
Well, and to set us apart from other third-party administrators, I just want you to know that CCMSI is an employee stock owner program company. So each employee has a stake and interest to make sure that we're successful in retaining those relationships and retaining the business that we have.
That part where she mentioned savings that were measured in millions and over 50%, she had me then. Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. Any good, for those senior members, you know, Deb, Anita, any questions at all? Mike, any questions? And for the newer members, I know this is a lot to throw at you, but I mean, anything, I would rather you ask a question so you are fundamentally getting the gist of things, you know, as we move on. This is what, our second meeting so far. And, you know, these are the people to ask if, you know, hey, I just don't get this. Well, ask.
Yeah, the piece that I'm a little unclear on, I didn't. really-
Linder.
Yeah, Linder, thank you. I didn't realize that you guys were handling all of the liability stuff. So in a big suit, does CCMSI choose the attorney? Does the county choose the attorney? How does that work?
That's a great question. I think the state's attorney,
State's attorney's
State's attorney
office.
still represents us?
State-
Okay.
Yes, yes. And if there is ever some conflict, then they will make a recommendation if we need to go ahead and pull in another partner.
Okay, so generally it's done through the state's attorney. So that's good.
Yes.
Thank you.
we can't, Mr. Linder, we can't be everything to everybody. And sometimes it just makes sense to bring a specialized attorney in. I think it would be fair to also say that some of these require investigations that we will bring an outside person in at Jamie's discretion. Whether that be a private investigator or, a forensic accountant or, something along those lines. We have those at our disposal as well.
Thank you.
Dora, thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Alan,
Yes, Deb.
I'm, as somebody who is entirely outside of the insurance industry, I'm really grateful to have these reports because it takes me a while to, and I'm sure I still don't comprehend the whole process, but to hear how the process works is very helpful. Can I ask this question? You said that we are self-insured to $1 million. Are all of these things added together to get to that $1 million? Or is it per occurrence?
Well, let's straighten that out. The $1 million comment was just generic. I think that our stop loss on each different line of insurance is different. I don't think we have a universal threshold. And they are not cumulative. So the work comp threshold is different than the general liability threshold, which is different than the health insurance threshold. And each cycle that we rebid those sometimes gets adjusted. The county might be, have a little bit more in reserves and maybe it makes sense for us to take on a bit more risk. Other times we don't have that in reserves and we're not willing to take that risk. And so we should buy a lower threshold. So it's not omnibus. It is quite specific. And it does change.
Linder here, I do have another question. You just,
One second. Deb, did that answer your question?
We're getting there. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks. Mr. Linder.
so for each of these different kinds of claims, we have a threshold and reinsurance. Do we shop the reinsurance or does CCMSI shop for the reinsurance?
No, we do shop the reinsurance. CCMSI does not get involved with that. They are just a third-party administrator for our claims portion. Rich Ryan is the gentleman, and we are so fortunate to have Rich. Rich Ryan does the general liability, does the non-health insurance, I think would be best to say.
Okay.
And then Advanced Partners, is what Assured Partners, because they just merged with a larger firm, which is to our advantage, but Mike Baker's group does our health insurance. Equally important, and the one comment I will make, because I don't think we've addressed it, is this is absolutely a service to our employees. If we want the best and the brightest, then we need to make sure that if they get hurt on the job, they're taken care of. I mean, it's really, if you want the best and the brightest, then their health insurance better be, second to none, or they're going to get poached by somebody else. It's really that simple. And it's part of our responsibility in this committee to make sure that we're holding that threshold if that's the level of competence that we want from our staff.
Makes sense.
Jamie, if I say something wrong or out of place, feel free to jump in, but okay. All right, Dora, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Jamie, would you like to move forward with our monthly reports? Oh, hey, there we go. Now, on these monthly reports, please understand that we tailor and groom these for our needs. These are not something that came off the shelf. We will, on a, I don't want to say quarterly basis, but year-to-year basis, say we need more information from our health insurance guys to know where we need to plug holes. Hey, we need it on the workers' comp. Now we need it on the it was the computer theft, fraud, crime, cyber. We need much more attention on that 2 years ago. So we try and tailor these reports specific to our needs. And these are homegrown with our vendor support. So. Dora, go ahead.
So the first report is a bar chart report on the top locations where the most incidents have occurred from 12/1/2022 to 11/30/2023. And of course, this is the current policy period as of 12/31/2022. So this illustrates that the most incidents have occurred, 3 of them being in the Adult Justice Center, 2 of them in the Juvenile Justice Center, and 1 for the Division of Transportation. These claims are open right now. They are no lost time, meeting their medical only claims. And the total amount in reserves are at $8,690.
Dora, I would say that while all of us would say, boy, we'd love to see no claims ever, that's not realistic in certain departments. I mean, unless somebody wants to go chase a bad guy and say you're not going to trip and fall or get shot or something, that's not reality. Reality is we will have the claims and we do need to be prepared to handle them.
Correct.
Davis, with my understanding that there 3, 2, and 1, there's 6 total, and the reserve is only 8,600 and.
Correct.
Way, that's fabulous.
Mr. Chairman, that's
fabulous.
yeah, if you go back a few years, that same graph would have looked very, very different. So
Thank you for acknowledging that.
The next bar chart is the trend for the last, actually the 2 previous policy periods, including the current one, which is effective 12/1/2022. So this chart and report represents in descending order. And as you could see, the period running from 12/1/2020 to 11/30/2021, there were 71 claims, and the total incurred was $1,064,000. So the last period that just ended on 11/30/2022, there were 20 less claims, and the total reserves were down by $449,000. So that is trending very positive.
Dora, just so we're not, the elephant in the room, of course, is the COVID situation. In the industry, did you see claims down because of COVID?
No, we saw a spike, unfortunately. We did see a spike. As far as severity, there wasn't a lot of severity with those COVID claims. I could tell you there were very isolated cases where there was severity, but those were handled according to the feedback from our respective clients as to how we were going to process those claims. Some of our clients, they were very adamant. They did not want those claims readily accepted, so to speak. And then you had other clients where they wanted them accepted and just pay them and make them go away. A lot of times they would report them and they would handle all of the benefits in-house.
It's interesting because
different.
my point was, I don't think bad guys slept. I don't think sheriff's departments closed. I don't think the jail shut down during COVID. I think you were looking at that from the perspective of, if I was an employee that caught COVID at work, was it a work comp claim or a medical claim? That is it, am I picking up on that? Just 2 different divergent?
Right.
Okay, interesting. I wasn't looking at it from that perspective. I was looking, but my point being, even through the pandemic, I believe we performed admirably well.
You
So
did, for sure. The next report. This is a grid and bar chart of the departments within the top locations where the losses were reported. And this illustrates by cause from 12/1/2022 to 11/30/2023. So those 6 claims, as you could see, originate from the sheriff's department. And then you have one from the Division of Transportation. And those claims, the 5 claims involving human contact, those were restraining detainees type of injuries. Again, those claims right now are medical only claims.
And Dora, for sake of time, we're going to ask you to just pick up the pace a bit.
Okay. The next report is the executive report for Kane County relative to the workers' comp program for the last 4 years in the current year by period in chronological order as of 12/31. Total incurred for the current period is $8,690 with 6 claims reported. The average cost per claim is $1,448.33. And that's down by $13,000 compared to last month, which is most likely due for the mere fact that they're not very, they're minimal cases. They're medical only claims right now.
And again, for the committee, you look at some of these charts and go, oh my gosh, we're doing great. And then a reserve from 2 years ago gets paid and you're just like, wait a minute, where did that squeak in from? Yeah, you know, it's part and parcel. You know, you manage what you can.
The next report is the executive report for the Kane County Liability Program for the last 4 years and the current year by policy period in chronological order as of 12/31. Total incurred for the current period is $32,994 with 2 claims reported. Average cost per claim is $16,000. This amount is $12,000 more. And I can tell you, I did look at those 2 claims and they involve property damage to King County involving a guardrail and a police vehicle. The next report. This illustrates all of the open workers' compensation, claims for King County as of 12/31. There's currently 64 open claims with total reserves of $8.2 million. 39 are indemnity claims, 25 are medical only. The medical only, the 25, that means they're not litigated and there are no lost time.
This might be the appropriate time to say, because it shows each department that's up there from transportation, sheriff,
Correct.
court services. The relationship that we have with those county officers, meaning they've been, you know, the sheriff is elected across the county, the circuit clerk. Our relationship with them has been phenomenal. They could embrace our initiatives or rebuke them. And in my opinion, they have been just gracious partners, listening and being interactive. And that's why we're seeing these declines appropriately. And we appreciate, you know, we appreciate their input and their cooperation, I guess is the right word.
I have to agree. I talked to the team and they do indicate that there's just a different philosophy that's going on.
They buy into the program and it's so
Yes.
appreciated.
The next report is the open workers' compensation claims, which have just occurred. And again, I've mentioned that we have six claims that have been reported and they are medical only right now. And that's also by department. The next pie chart and grid illustrates those settlements that have reached. As of 12/31, we had 1 for court services in the amount of $31,583.40. And last but not least, So this is a comparison report of amounts paid. And I divided this up to between two periods. So as you could see, there are 85 more claims reported from 12/1/2017 to 11/30/2020, compared to 12/1/2020 to 11/30/2023. The amount paid from the claims that occurred from 2017 to 2020 is approximately 1.1 million more compared to 2020 to 2023 period. So that speaks volumes.
When did we add the extra person? The extra adjuster?
In 2018.
Okay. Any questions on this at all? I think we've done really, Anita, go ahead.
I have one real quick question.
Please.
Do we share these with sheriff? And I mean, those people.
I
do
think
they
he
know?
sits in on quarterly meetings
Okay,
with these
that's what I was curious.
monthly meetings. I'm so sorry.
Okay. I mean, they do an amazing job, but I just want to make sure they see the information. Thank you.
Yeah, I think we're all, I think most of the departments have been vibrantly aware of this and realize
Make sure.
we're trying to help their people. And are there situations where an employee might be abusing? Sure there are. Are there situations where we just need to take care of that employee that something really bad happened to? Absolutely. And we're just trying to find the blend between those.
Right. I just want to make sure that they know when they're doing great or poorly or in between. You know, I just want to make sure that we have. give
Jamie, you bring them like cupcakes and stuff when they do really well or so? Yeah. Dora,
Thank you.
thank you so very, very much. Any questions for Dora that we have?
Thank you.
Anyone online?
Thank you. It
Thank
was-
you so
it was
much.
Very informative. Thank you for the time.
Appreciate it.
Can we get her to work in any other departments here? for the
Yeah,
county?
exactly. All right, Jamie, welcome back to the podium. Jamie, we do need to get to new business A, B, and C. So as fast as we can.
Reports
High
are on
overview.
file. Do you just want to let me know if you have any questions regarding the reports? There's nothing.
No. So I think that this Blue
Attachments.
Cross Blue Shield, we averaged between 1.2 and 1.4. So we're
1.2 and 1.6 is about normal. So we're right in the middle.
Right, no-
Nothing out of tolerance in the Blue Cross.
okay.
Same with, the Assured Partners report as you go through it, nothing out of tolerance. You wanna
And
go-
again, these reports, everything on here was at our request so that we can track what's going on. And I think our biggest challenge right now continues to be, and don't let me speak out of line, the prescription drugs, the RX is that's the
our
most consternation, I think, that we
That's
see.
that's our most volatile number as we go through it. And that is something that we are starting to look at. I met with Mike Baker last week and we're going to start quoting out different plans. Blue Cross does limit our ability to carve out the prescription portion of the benefit. So we are looking at different options that we will be bringing to the committee in the coming months.
Okay. For the newer members, I can't wait to explain to you what capitation is and extremely tough concept for me to digest, but
Mr. Baker does explain
not,
that.
we're not
quite
going to do
well.
it today. Keep going.
We'll let Mike Baker explain that.
Absolutely.
Next report is the applicants and staff changes. Again, we're seeing nice numbers, good high numbers for applicants. With all the turnover that was happening after the Great Resignation, that's starting to level out. So we're seeing a lot of improvements there and a lot more applicants coming in. Just in an update from something that was brought up last month, the committee had requested information about the EAP as well as some notifications about what to do in case of harassment as a poster. So we've designed one that's based off of the EAP poster we have that does let everybody know. I will pass that out to the committee here for you to review. And then if you have any feedback on it, you can certainly let me know. We are going to distribute this along with the labor posters. We did get new labor posters that will go out to all of our departments due to a law change in late December in the state of Illinois. They've had to reprint those. So those are still in printing, but those will go out and we will be adding this new poster in addition to that. Another update, we do have the equity adjustments that are continuing. HR has begun departments with meetings with the individual departments to begin reviewing job descriptions and making sure we're able to properly grade those positions as a part of the equity adjustments that are in place. The other item that we do that is currently up is the committee had asked us to undergo a process for exit interviews. This is required for all the county departments. The elected officials are given the option whether they'd like to opt in or opt out. The majority of them have opted out. But we only have a few. We've been doing this since December 1, so these are just December numbers. So we did a few exit interviews, but I just put this up here to show you what those reports will look like that we will now have monthly added to our reports.
Jamie, did the offices opt out because they're doing their own or felt it wasn't necessary?
They didn't necessarily give me reasons. Some did, and some already have a process that they feel is sufficient and gives the information they need. Others just chose to opt out. So they may or may not have their own process. I don't know.
Mr. Chairman. Question.
Gentlemen, Mark.
If we have a high percentage of them sort of opting out, kind of defeats the purpose of, what we're looking for. Is it possible as a term of employment to put something in there when they're hired that says that they will do this? Is that, or is that not allowed?
I believe that would tread on their internal control in a way that we really don't want to do. So,
Well,
it's still
so-
useful. We have 15 county departments under board jurisdiction, as well as a couple of the elected official offices that haven't chosen to opt out.
Jamie,
What
do me a
about for the-
favor and quantify that statement in terms of numbers of employees. What
Um,
does the county control versus the offices control?
I would have to run actual numbers, but I
Just-
would say it's roughly half.
Okay. So 1,300-ish employees. We're saying 11 to 12, I'm sorry, 600 are within county control. 600-700 are in offices control.
Yeah, that's very rough. I really don't know for
Yeah,
sure,
yeah,
but I would
I'm
say
just-
roughly it's a fairly.
And I
even
guess
split,
my
but there
question,
Still are quite a few.
without trampling on the internal control statute, aspect of it. My question was more to the individual hiring of employees as a term of employment there. Is it possible to have something in your hiring agreement that says, when you're done, there's this expectation that you will? Is that possible?
The terms of employment of an employee of an elected official is under the elected official's jurisdiction. So I'm not sure we have the authority to set their terms of employment.
We
Just
could
2 months ago, y'all were really hot on this. And this sounds like it's fizzling, if you ask me,
Right.
but
I
I
just
think
wonder
it's
if
good
we could
information
ask
for
them
our
if they'd
county
be willing to
departments.
put that language in. We can't make them do it, just
If-
asking.
We certainly can ask, yes.
Okay, sorry.
thank you for the effort on that. We appreciate that you responded to our inquiry.
Well, I think it's important that we continue to talk about this because as, a county elected official, all we hear is we don't pay enough. And, and I agree with that totally, but I think it's also important to know if people are only leaving because of that, or if there's other reasons. So that's why I like seeing this data. And the more we can keep gathering data, I
Well,
love data.
I mean, the whole discussion, sorry, Davis.
That was
The-
Lewis before Davis, yes.
Louis Davis.
The entire discussion we had leading up to this was just trying to find a tool that would be useful to improve everything, to make
Correct.
things better for the employees,
Right.
not to try to be intrusive or force anything or ignore the internal control statute. We're looking for a device that will give us a chance to improve the whole process
Mhm.
and make everybody's employment experience better. So the idea that it's kind of fizzling, as you say, it's like, well, let's not give up that easily.
Right,
Let's
I
see if
agree.
we can-
I agree.
Yeah.
And Anita, just for the record, I don't agree that we pay poorly. I agree that there are sections that we do and sections that are paid quite well.
But that's
And,
true.
yes, I just,
Yeah, that was my broad statement, which, we tend to.
yeah, understood.
And to add, I do not believe that any of the questions we were asking were intrusive. They were very general in nature. The board certainly can take into consideration when an elected official comes to them and says that they have a turnover problem, can certainly take into consideration that they have refused to participate in the process of the exit interview at that time.
Jamie, item 5F, HR department updates. Just kind of dovetails. I do believe that we've lost a staff member from HR.
Yes, we did have a resignation. Erica Rosa, who was handling our leave of absences, did resign. And her last day was January 4th. So we do have the job posted and we have a lot of applicants to review and begin interviewing.
So even HR is not immune to turnover. So
She did leave to accept more money elsewhere.
oh, there we go.
because of
There we
money.
go. And she went private sector.
Yes.
So, I mean, okay. Jamie, thank you so much. Can you hit us on compliance?
I just wanted to remind everyone, we're starting again on sexual harassment training. So whenever you decided to do it last year, whether it was December or
Last month.
January of 20, yeah, whether it was last month or a year ago, that does reset every January 1st. And we need everyone, including all board members, to take that training. I believe the first reminder went out yesterday to your email account that has all the necessary links and forms as needed. If you have any difficulties, certainly let us know. I didn't make,
Of
this- it's a
everything
state
we
statute. I
discussed,
didn't write
Kenyon
it.
raises his hand to this one.
Many years ago, the state's attorney did a class in that. So we could all go. I don't know how many people, but I think it was McMahon. And he taught us the sexual harassment. That seemed that was much quicker.
There's a new statute in the state of Illinois as of 2020 that does set specific requirements to the contents of that training. And the way to be sure we are in compliance is to use the training that is provided by the Illinois Department of Human Rights. That way we know we're meeting their requirements. We certainly could put it on a screen and provide it to people in person if somebody wanted that. We would be happy to do that. Most people prefer to do it on their own. But if there's something that individuals wanted, Human Resources would
got
be
a
happy to do
certificate,
that. Just put it on the screen and have everyone sit and watch it. That certainly would work.
Positive We did it.
If we
Well-
could have a certificate framed for Mr. Kenyon when he completes his online
Sure,
class.
find it.
Right.
Yeah, he was kind enough to take that. I think he was one of those poor people that took it in December. Now you have to do it again right away. But it's out there for
All right,
everyone.
we have 3 more items to plow through here. So do we have any other old business at all? Linda, any old business? Alan,
We're good. Thank you.
Kenyon,
Well,
Louis?
give us time. we'll
Long.
finish.
Tarver,
No, sir.
Mr. Tepe?
No, I'm fine.
Thank you. Jamie, item 8A, new business. Resolution authorizing contract for mental health services for the Juvenile Justice Center. I do believe we have folks
We
here to
do.
discuss.
We do. If you remember a few months back when we were talking about turnover, we highlighted that the turnover in the Juvenile Justice Center is high. A lot of that is due to the nature of the work that they do. But we talked about any steps that could be taken and we reached out to their superintendent, Mike Davis, to find out if there were any steps we could take that might help improve that. And this is a fantastic idea that he had. The cost of this is just under $10,000 per year to provide appropriate mental health services for their staff following an incident. If you have any questions, I'm going to invite Mike Davis up to answer any questions you may have.
Perfect. Mike, if I could set the stage for you. My understanding is, and if I'm mistaken here, please correct. When we did our equity report and reached out across the county, there were certain areas that we said, wow, we'd really do a great job here, and certain areas that we said, wow, they need help. Yours stuck out as the number one, saying we need help. And it's not always just a matter of saying, here's more money. That's not going to get it done. There's a component that your people felt they needed to be able to say, we just need somebody to talk to when something bad happens. Am I accurate in any way?
That is absolutely one of the things that I think would be beneficial. I know you're trying to keep the meeting brief. I've worked for court services for 28 years. I've worked in juvenile detention for the vast majority of that. I am intimately aware of why we have turnover. We've always had turnover. That's a lengthy conversation I'd be happy to have with any of you. We do track why people leave. But just to be brief, our staff went hands-on almost 200 times last year. We had the police called to our building 40 times. We have 15 staff assaults. And typically when these assaults occur, we debrief as a group briefly, and then we get the kids back up for programming. So I think it goes a long way for the county to show that we care about what these staff members are going through at work.
I can't
So-
imagine the stories they tell at their dinner table, night after night after night. So if this is something that we can provide to help, I don't even know what the right words are, to help ease or provide an outlet for some of those internalized feelings, I'm 100% in support of this.
And I'll mention that family, excuse me, Family Counseling Services has a person on staff who is specializes in working with first responders and doing crisis situation debriefings.
Fabulous. Can I have a motion or Surges will move to
Second,
accept this resolution, second by Lewis. Any conversation on this?
I would like to make a comment.
Absolutely.
I think this is absolutely fantastic. And I'm glad that you took the things we said seriously and came up with a great solution and a very expensive solution also. And yeah, we all know that the mental health and taking care of, your employees and also mental health of our, the residents too is extremely important. And so it's the root cause of so many things. So thank you for doing this and I appreciate it.
Thank you.
This is absolutely cause and effect from the equity study, and I'm so glad to see this. Mr. Tarver, do I see your hand up? Thank you,
Yes,
Blair.
I apologize. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My question is this a requirement or is this a volunteer service offered to the staff members?
It'll be a voluntary service. I've talked to some of the staff members and they're all on board. So Family Counseling Service would make 18 appointments available to us where they would come to our building to debrief after difficult situations, be it a restraint. There are a lot of challenging situations our staff go through. So they'd come to the building, debrief with all the staff members. And once a year, they will meet with all of our employees if they would like to, just to do a check-in. How are you doing? How are you feeling? Offer any suggestions for coping with anxiety and stress. Give referrals for services, things like that.
Bill, what a great question. Thank you for asking that. And I'm so happy that your employees are embracing this. And if in 6 months, 8 months, you're feeling that this is successful and you need to expand on it, please come back. If in 6 or 8 months you come back and say, wow, we haven't even used this, please acknowledge that as well.
Absolutely.
We stand in support of you guys. So
Okay. Thank you
Okay.
very much.
Davis again.
we need to call roll on this too.
Okay, this is great. And in your answer, you covered part of what I was curious about, which is how much service does $10,000 get you? But as a former YS2 and YS3, the closest thing we had was a local bartender. So there were events almost daily. I mean, it's a very stressful position. The knowledge that there is somebody that you can reach out to, I think will make a significant difference. If you had something that was serious enough that you wanted to speak up about, there was no path forward for that before. So just them knowing that this is there and ready, I anticipate it'll be used, but hopefully not.
So do I.
Hopefully not too much.
Well done, team. Let's call the vote.
Allen,
Alan, I, of course.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Lewis,
Louis, yes.
Tarver,
I have something online that says no signal. Check the external input. Blair, are you there? Does that? Okay. Mr. Tarver, are you with us?
I am. Did you not hear me? Tarver was a yes.
Thank you.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Surges.
Surges, yes. Mike, thank you for you and your entire team and all you do.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Item number 8B, resolution amending the insurance benefits policy in the personnel policy handbook. Jamie?
There are two changes included in this. Just to give you the full information, there was a suggestion to reduce the waiting period for insurance. Our current waiting period is eligibility begins on the 61st day of continuous employment. That often has people starting in the middle of the month, which isn't incredibly useful since COBRA is usually purchased in full months. And to reduce that to the first day after 30 days of employment. The first of the month after 30 days of employment, reduces that waiting period and also forces it to a first of a month. Health insurance, again, by purchasing it in full months is just more administratively feasible. Shorter times are not particularly administratively feasible because we do need an opportunity to give people a benefits
Okay.
orientation,
What's off now?
as well as to make sure that we have an opportunity to get the necessary paperwork done. So by doing so, this allows that we have at least one full month prior to the beginning of their insurance. This is an industry standard. First of the month after 30 days is the most common. However, the board does get to choose its eligibility period. The second change that's included in this is intended to be a clarification of current practice, which is that employees who terminate employment with King County, that the last physical day worked is used to determine the end of their benefits, which would be the end of the month in which they work their last day. There has been a lot of questions that we get often for people asking if they can take a couple weeks vacation after their last day worked in order to extend their eligibility. We tell them no, but it seems to create confusion. So the effort was to clarify that. The state's attorney has risen some concern that they feel that that might be a change in the condition of employment. However, again, we are talking about people that no longer work for us. So it may need to be reworded if it's not clear. So, by all means, feel free not to continue this if you'd like us to send it back for that review with the state's
So
attorney.
if I could step in on this for time's sake, part of the equity study that we did was how do we hire new people and attract them here to the county? The state's attorney's office was first and foremost, came out and said, hey, listen, you guys want me to hire somebody from another county, but their health insurance won't start for such a lengthy period of time. It's actually disadvantageous for us. We need that to start sooner. We went back to payroll and said, how fast do you think we can implement this? And they said feasibly, you could start it on the first day after their 30 days of employment. Am I relatively correct on that?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, so this was absolutely in response to the study. We're trying to make that adjustment. That's on the first half of this. On the second half of this is pretty simple. If you stopped working on Friday, the 15th, we're going to keep your health insurance through the 30th of the month or the last day of the month, and then we're done. If you had vacation time that's accrued that you're going to have another 2 months worth of monies coming in, that doesn't mean that your benefits are continuing. It just means you had accrued time, but your benefits are stopping at the end of that month. Am I fundamentally solid on that?
Yes, employees are always paid out for their earned vacation, whether they take that vacation or receive a lump sum payout should not change their benefits eligibility.
Okay, expeditiously for the committee, we are asking to move this forward today with a vote. However, the state's attorney has said, listen, we want in the second half of that, we want to look at that a little bit. They can catch it at finance or executive. We don't want to delay this because the first half was really important. So we can modify it at a later committee if need, at a subsequent committee if need be. Am I okay with that, Jamie?
Yes, whatever the board would like to do.
Okay, so I would motion the resolution amending the insurance benefits policy and the personnel policy handbook, item B.
Linder
Could I-
seconds.
Linder seconds. Any discussion on this? Please call the vote.
Allen,
Aye.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Tarver,
Tarver, yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Surges.
Burgess, yes. Item C, resolution adopting the personal relationships policy, the personal policy handbook. Okay, tread light. Go slow.
So we passed the family relationships policy last summer. The original draft of the family relationships policy included romantic relationships in the definition of a family member for the purposes of that policy and its restrictions. The committee requested that we remove that, which we did, and then I drafted this policy to cover personal relationships because I still think it's critically important to have a personal relationships policy. This policy requires reporting of personal relationships. It does not impose any specific consequences or rules around those. Those would be handled on a case-by-case basis. Also, as you may know, defining a personal relationship is exceptionally difficult. We certainly don't want to tread into people's personal lives. We really only want to know when it's affecting their work. So as if you read the guidelines, it makes a general statement that I think we all know what we're talking about when we're talking about a romantic relationship, and it relies on personal discretion, that if a romantic relationship is in place, that disclosure is made.
So when we first addressed this, it was pretty rough. And we'll just characterize it as we tucked that tail between our legs and ran from it. This is now months later that we believe it's appropriate to have in there. You have done a great job at homogenizing this. And if this body believes this is something that's acceptable, I believe using the word romantic. And again, I don't believe that we're instilling consequences. We're just saying that if you're having a romantic relationship, you probably should be disclosing that to your supervisor. I think that's fair. I don't believe there's much else to this. Am I correct in that?
Yes, it really, further just states, or any personal relationship which presents a perceived or actual conflict of interest. And, I did add a definition to conflict of interest. It's fairly textbook, but just anywhere in which your personal interests conflict with your official interests would need to be disclosed when it comes to personal relationships.
Okay, so Jamie, I move resolution adopting personal relationship policy to the personal policy handbook, item 8C. Looking for a second. Mr. Kenyon seconds. Any discussion on this whatsoever? Please call the vote.
Allen,
Allen, I.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Tarver,
Carver, yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Surges.
Surges, yes.
Passes.
And again, for the new members, this sounds like we just did a whole bunch of stuff that's really important. All we've done is move it from this committee to the next committee. It can be reviewed or refined at that point. Then it will go to executive committee where it can be reviewed and defined, refined, put on the consent agenda or placed on an individual item, and then ultimately voted by the board. So we do a whole lot of background work in committee, and this is the process that we bring it forward. So we're not trying to rush anything or bring it through. Some of this stuff we have been working on for months and months and months, and we deferred this until the new board was seated. I don't know what they're right. Seated, is that right? We thank you. And now that we're there and the committee is in place, it was appropriate to bring it forward. So, Mr. Kenyon, can I have a motion to place reports on file?
Yes, you can.
Hi,
Linder.
Linder. Questions on reports? Please call the vote.
Allen,
Allen, I.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Tarver,
Carver, yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Surges.
Surges, yes. Item 10, executive session. I see no need, but for those listening, I think you can draw some of the parallels or see the workflow between yesterday's conversations in executive session and then very specific to a committee and where those things are birthed and how they take place. I think this is a great example of that. Mr. Kenyon, I believe you're up on item 11.
Motion to adjourn, and notice that we're only 5 minutes over.
Good job,
which
Clint.
is Progress.
It's all Mike's fault, but. Mr.
All in
Linder?
favor, aye.
All in favor?